I was shocked the first time I saw that. I didn't understand what was going on. My head just couldn't grasp why this person has never used a computer. So we're also changing the way we do the programs. We no longer come with an assumption that everybody knows how to use a computer, everybody knows how to navigate. We always use the basic things. I mean, I see some of you guys have got your phones popping out, but how many of us actually use our phones as a form of technology tool? Yes, there's the Instagrams and the selfies make me look nice and all that stuff, but how do we use things like Google Drive? What can you do with Google Drive? Most of us use Google Drive to put in pictures. That's good. At least you know how to back up. But do you know how to do things like using your Google Docs to write documents? What we try to change with young kids is you can actually collaborate on your homework with someone sitting at home from wherever they are. You can work on a presentation without having to say, but I don't have money to come and meet up with you guys. We take things like WhatsApp, yes, it's chat, it's cool, but we try to convert the thinking. Let's have group chat, let's use those things, the minimal resources that we have to move into that space. So yes, it's a scary space. A lot of people are worried about it, but I mean, we've been here before. With the past industry revolutions, we've been here, and I think the human culture, the human way of doing is always adapting. So how do we adapt in this current state? The best way of adapting is upskilling people. One of the words that Sam mentioned here is unskilled people. So yes, that guy is sitting and worried and my job is being taken. If I was that guy, I'd actually figure out how is this thing taking my job? How can I be the guy who's behind the truck? And figure out those type of things. So we need to change the mind and let people worry less in a way, but also upskill them in new ways. In South Africa, one of the biggest problems we have is our digital skills are a problem. I once asked a question on Twitter deliberately, and I said, well, I'll post something that South Africa lacks digital skills. And you could tell people think when you talk digital, you're talking only social media. And people are like, yeah, but we're seeing so many influencers, what do you mean? And I'm like, see, that's actually the problem. It's the education problem. We think digital means only I'm doing social media, I'm doing marketing. And that's what the kids are doing now. They think, well, they're digital, as was mentioned earlier, they're digital. Now they're doing this marketing and all that stuff. So it's education. We cannot depend on the education system anymore. We have to find new ways of learning, new ways of teaching young people how to actually grasp technology. And this thing about it is, it's not even just the young people. There's this organization called Mama's Coding. What it does is actually bridging the gap and not focusing just on the kids, it's focusing on their parents. It brings the mothers together and say, let's work together and teach you the basics of coding. The nice thing about it is, while the mothers are learning, there's actually a section where they can bring their kids to be taken care of. So there's different ways we can work on these different models, but I think we've still got a long way to go.
Okay. Winnie, after Misha's half an hour presentation on I did. Too long. But what are you guys up to in terms of upskilling people?
Okay, so I sit in a very comfortable space because it's all female. And what I started about 5 years ago was a design firm that only hired women. So if you guys see on the list there, it's Coolr Digital, and that's actually the app design leg of what we do. We're currently a team of 7 women. We have 2 offices, one in Rosebank and one in Sandton. And we specifically built the environment to allow women who would have never been able to enter the tech space to learn how to code and to actually create products. In a month, we launch about 8 purely digital products, and it's not Facebook. and that's quite big, yes. I mean, what's quite big is walking into a room and being asked, where's the man? That is big, which means the space needs to be dominated by females. And when I look at this question and the guy looking at something and saying, hey, why isn't these guys taking our jobs? With the rise of AI and this 4th industrial revolution, there's an opportunity, and a lot of people are seeing it as a negative, but there's an opportunity as a threat. There's an opportunity for us to train people for that environment, where there's hundreds of jobs being lost to that. There's hundreds of jobs where someone actually needs to sit and write that code, and that's where we sit. This is actually an opportunity, and I love spaces like this. I love what you guys are doing, because really, we are building a workforce in this space by training people, by encouraging them, by bringing them into a platform that had previously said you have to be a certain level to actually code. and saying that actually anyone can code if they can say 1 + 1 is 2. How do we put you in a situation where you are comfortably coding, where you're comfortably building products, and how do we make it accessible? One of the things that I see, even with the clients that we get, which is heartbreaking, is the barriers to entry. Even for a startup to come to a company and say, I want an app like this. Do you know how much it costs to create this in South Africa? The average is about 400,000, and it obviously ranges to like 1.5 million. Do you understand that that means at the level, if you look at Kenya, if you just go to Kenya and you see what they're able to create, because there's no barriers to entry, that you don't have to be a millionaire to build something like this. And it starts there. If we as a country aren't even creating products like this because the average individual with a brilliant idea can't actually access that, we will constantly stay at this. I mean, if you look at us, South Africa is an amazing country, but Kenya is light years ahead of us. And that's scary based on what the infrastructure that we have as a country. And it's those kind of conversations. How do we fix barriers to entry? And one of those solutions is this. It is training people, even for a single year, just to be able to create a single app like that is huge. What we did, which is to counter this horrible fear, is we specifically chose girls on our graduate program, because when we started, we had split into, the company was split into two. It was a graduate program and it was for hired staff. The graduate program specifically sought out girls who were in previously disadvantaged backgrounds, but had convinced their parents to go to university and were studying something the parents had said do not study, graphic design, which made now our front end team. Front end is basically graphic design on steroids, right? These kids who have convinced their parents to go study something crazy like graphic design were shouted at when they actually went to study graphic design. And now because they studied in CBD, will never be hired by Flu, which is a big corporate marketing company in Sandton. And that's it. This entire solution needs to be so, it cannot be one-pronged. It cannot be, let's just sit and educate a bunch of kids. It has to be all of us. It has to be Geekulcha doing something spectacular in that space. It has to be a corporate saying, which is us, Strawberry Connect. It has to be a corporate saying, how do we bring people in? How do we educate them? How do we actually help them create products? It is such an amazing feat, but it is doable.
It is.
But it is someone standing in each of their roles and saying, how do I, in my role as a corporate, how do I combat this issue? And to constantly think in everything that we do, that this is the issue, everything we do, in whichever form, has to combat this issue. And yeah, I think that's my
So you mentioned that your graduate program with the girls or the young girls is that they've convinced their parents to do something that they weren't going to be geared for. Because we grow up being told, go be a lawyer, go be an accountant, those are safe jobs, go be a doctor and stuff. I mean, I remember, so in 1998, when I was finishing my matric, the scare at the time was the Y2K bug. The computers were going to freeze and they were going to stop. And at the same time, I'm telling my parents that I want to study IT. And all my life, I've been groomed for being a doctor. But now I'm going to study IT, and this was a mess in the household because what is computers going to do for you? Because the Y2K bug is going to destroy them anyway, right? And computers were fairly new in the country even and stuff, and internet and all of those things. So now, having to have that conversation for me was a tough one, and ended up in actual big fights because my parents could not see the value of what I was going to do. But I now look at the youth today, and I wonder, do they see the value of tech? Or the value of their skills, and even if it's not tech skills, but do they see the value of skills in the bigger value chain and in the economy? Is it clear to them? I mean, someone that doesn't understand what robotics is, how do we get that person introduced to not just only the concept, but understanding the impact of this thing in the greater economy?
I don't think, so the word that was used was awareness. There isn't enough of that. I mean, let's just a simple example, right? They don't see, to answer your question, they don't see the opportunities that much because it's like they're not being spoken about. Let's bring it back to the entertainment space, right? I'm sitting at home and I'm seeing Casper and I'm seeing a whole bunch of these artists and people in that space who have come up and they're living their life, you know. They are sitting now, they're putting out their videos where they actually made this stuff in their little corner and it's successful. What that does to me as a young person is it gives me this, it amps me up. But it also gives me this thing that I can actually do it on my own. I can use a minimal resources. So I've got someone to look up to, a role model or some sort in the entertainment space. In the tech space, who is it in South Africa? I can't think of anyone. I can, because I've been reading a lot about this stuff, but mostly people I think of from a South African point of view are wearing suits. And I definitely don't want to be like them. So you don't see those role models. I think the moment you see role models and what they're doing from a local point of view, we actually get inspired that, oh, I can actually do that. Actually, there's something that I can do. How do you do that? So we don't even ask questions around that because we're not seeing a lot of it. It's not there. It's not on the everyday life thing. I mean, now the industry is so big in entertainment that some people are, I mean, they're so creative, the young people, to a point that they're calling Amapiano the Yanos, you know? They're coming up with their own name, they're owning the space. In the tech space, yeah, we don't really exist.
So Winnie, for women in particular, and women in IT hasn't necessarily been quite popular, right? I remember even sitting in IT departments of a bank and people are just wondering, why are you here? Kind of thing, like, you're a female, you're going to be leading this project, it doesn't even make sense. Do you even know enough tech? And that's always been the question. Misha brings up role models. Do you think there are enough female role models in this space? And what value does it add for young women to see those things? And I'm asking, does it matter, right, that we see those role models?
So even as Misha was speaking, one thing that I'm going to try and shout, I'm the most soft-spoken person, but I will try. One thing that Misha said is that we're actually not seeing these role models, and why I want to start with that is because it's very important when it comes to actually the mentality, the mind frame of a techie. I feel that techies already, I mean, we were built to sit behind laptops. I mean, for some of us, even this interaction was awkward. You know, we were built. So one, we already do ourselves injustice because we were obsessed with computers and code, and we taught ourselves to sit there. And it makes it very uncomfortable for us to stand in platforms like this and actually be like, hey, actually, this is what we're doing. This is the revolution. Let's do this together. And it's made a very self-conscious breed of spokespeople. Right? On the other hand, especially as females, one, you have been in rooms where it has been inconvenient to be female. And I find that leading with that is very difficult. I have already seen, even with, I don't know if you guys know We Think Code, I mentor the We Think Code girls alone. We Think Code, I think they just got to 12% female of graduates, which is insane, right? And they have a high dropout rate, so I think their dropout rate of females is sitting at 70%. And that's actually because the tech space has not been monitored. It has just been led to become a monster, and that monster is male. And when I say not monitored, even at an education level, even at educating girls, I remember when I was in high school, they were looking for actuarial scientists, and they specifically chose a certain group of individuals that was like the top 10, and they had us in a room and they were educating us for, you should do XI. And I remember in that space, I felt that there were only 2 females out of 10 from my school. I was one of them. I still felt that this is an unfair playing field. Actually, what we should be doing is saying, who are the top 10 girls? Bring them in the room. Because it is almost like BE. We were at a disadvantage. We require more effort at the moment, just to level out the playing field. And until like you're saying, that what do you feel like it is? No, it is underrepresented. Yes, it is, because it is not being monitored. It has just been let to run loose, and this is why I have an all-female firm, because that is the only solution is self-thought out interventions, because no one is doing anything about it. I hate to play the blame game, because actually I do feel like I am doing something about it. I have an all-female team. But it has been unmonitored, it has just been allowed to run rampage, and yeah, there's a future there for women in tech space. It will just take longer.
When people come to you asking for app development, do they understand what it is they're asking for?
I think for a long time, tech will have to always be coupled with education in everything. Everyone that we get in, it just needs to be coupled with education. Everything that we do is coupled with education because it's funny. South Africa wants more than what it understands, and that's actually a weird space to be in. In everything, it calls for more in education than it understands. In jobs, it calls for more in jobs than it actually understands. And most jobs, I mean, even the people that we get into the company, a lot of what we spend financially is on education. It's on upskilling our employees. So similarly, with our clients, a lot of the time, which is money is time, a lot of what we spend on is educating them. And that's okay, I guess. I think what I love about someone approaching a firm and having a dream and saying, this is what I want. I love the gusto, but more than anything, I love the fact that they are bringing South Africa up to a certain level, and us educating them is the least we could do for what they're trying to do. And that's actually good to pick up, that actually tech is going to be like that for a long time, that everything we do will have to be coupled with education. It's the only solution to.
I think that goes for most industries, it's not just tech. I mean, if somebody is engaging outside of their norm, they're going to have to go through some sort of a learning curve. But I find that even the appetite for small business owners to adopt tech in their spheres, when they're not a by default tech company, they tend to want to do an app because it's the cool thing to do, but not quite understand what it is they're getting involved in, and that education element, like you say, is very important. So I'm going to open it up to the floor, take one or two questions, and then see, is there anyone with a question that you want to ask? Spusiso, now that I know your name. See, this is the good thing about actually meeting and talking to people, is that you get to know their name as well. Yeah, not you over there. Yes,
so my question is to Winnie. How do you guys get past the stereotype that women don't like to code? Because a lot of times you find women want to go more into the BA and the analysis space, but they actually don't want to do the actual getting dirty with the code. So how do you actually encourage more women? And it could go to Mr. Geekulcha too. So yeah.
I find it very ironic you're asking that, and we both code. So we're defeating the odds of it. But yeah.
So how to encourage? That's a tough question. So we tried something called Tech Day Out. Just once a year we would go to high schools and we would just have a Tech Day Out, and we focused on everyone who was still doing maths and science at grade 10. And even in those spaces, we did find the women which sort of put themselves back. They would sit at the back, or they were less comfortable. And I even find, even with our developers, the reason why they're less comfortable is because of how men are reacting to them in that space. So it's so difficult to have a solution for something that is circumstantial, that actually we've walked into meetings and I've had to protect my team because of the environment. So the best thing you can do, and this is what we've done, is to build confident females. We cannot stop what the world is saying about whether or not they should be in that space. But that is the best we can do, create confident females. Even at and that is to support them, one, in education, making sure that they are actually the best in their field by coupling what they are with skills. And two, an environment that says it's okay to be female. And I don't know how large corporates can do that. I know it's very easy to manage in a small team, which is my small team. It's very easy to manage that.
Misha, you've got a growing number of women in Geekulcha and stuff, and I've seen it grow over the years. The ladies are coming in. What do you think is different? Maybe you might not know what's different, but what have you noticed that is gearing them and saying, I'm going to change this dynamic that Mrs. is talking about. I'm going to go into coding and make this a career.
Yeah, still haven't gotten used to the crying part.
So they do cry.
It's different. I mean, I think one of the things that we tend to miss out is we expect guys to understand and know, where else we miss out on teaching them that this is how it's done, or at least this is how I feel. So it's a very weird space. Still haven't figured it out. I don't think we will yet. It's going to take time. But the way we do it is we create an enabling platform. So you walk into a room as a geek. You walk out of the room, you walk out of the room as a geek. You're not a male, you're not a female. What you're capable of doing, we make sure we amplify it and make sure that we help where we can. You're not being helped because you're a female, you're not being helped because you're a guy. When you struggle, we pick you up just like we pick up anyone. So it's like an environment where you're not so different. However, we take it to the next step and we then celebrate outside the females that are doing great stuff. And the reason for celebrating them is we want other females to actually see that there's someone else. So we're big on role models because it doesn't exist. So we want to celebrate, sometimes we profile. We profile as many females as possible. And someone is sitting and like, oh, she's doing that. I'm able to do that. And we also give them a platform where, like again, you're not a female, you're someone who teaches, who shares their knowledge. So the guys are absorbing it in such a way that, oh, okay, she's good, she's teaching me stuff. I actually want to learn more from her, not because she's a female, not because it's more on she's really good. So that profiling and giving them the platform encourages other females, but also it makes the guys also at the same time to like, I don't know if I should use the word respect, but an element of, there's a level of respect of her skill. Not too much of a level of respect because she's a female, level of respect because you're a guy. It's more on celebrating the skill. Yeah, so we push a lot about the skill. So when we profile a lot about what you're capable of doing. We profile a lot what you've done and achieved. Then obviously from an audience point of view, they see it then a lot as it's a female, and they celebrate it from that angle a lot. But what we always try to do is level the playing field. When you walk in as a geek. So that's why I was laughing at the crying part, because we're still trying to learn that part of it. There's a lot of things we've had to learn over the years. What I'm trying to push is, if you have the drive, if you have that curiosity as well, you can actually learn a lot. I'm hoping you talk about one of the kids you work with, or some of the kids she's going to hopefully talk some of the kids she works with. One of the boys we come across is Fiso. He's 15 now. He's learning things that you still that video that Sam showed about the girls' reaction about all the technology. That expression is an expression we get from tertiary students who are in the IT space, and that's what they feel, because they don't go outside what the university gives them. I hate school, but I love learning. I love education. So if you're able to learn on yourself, teach yourself, also be part of groups that are same focused, you learn, you'll move. A lot of people are being hired actually in the tech space. 3 weeks back, a company hired one guy. They requested me to help them find a person. I found the person, he sent me a CV. I'm like, they're not going to take a CV. Do a portfolio. So he did a portfolio of what he's capable of doing. So I also encourage my brother as well. I'm like, when you go to a hackathon, that's part of your CV, that's part of your portfolio. When you build something, it's part of your portfolio. When they put you in the same room with the university students who's got the marks, be they TUT marks or UJ marks, doesn't really matter, and they cannot do anything, then you should look, I haven't even gone to university, but this is what I've been able to do. A lot of people in tech space are more willing to work with someone who's actually done something and can say, okay, I can see you made a mistake here, I can see your design is ugly, I can see your code is all over the place, but you've actually shown something than a person who just brings a paper. So it's a huge debate, but it's actually changing. Your Googles and them, they're making it very public. They're not interested much in your academic records. They're interested in what can you do. And for me, that's the wish, to see more young people in the tech space. In South Africa, actually building stuff by learning at home. You really learn a lot that way.
Okay, so I think just to close off, maybe when you just, one or two things that, if I'm at home and I'm speaking particularly to somebody who is in high school, and my school does not offer these things, but is still saying, go to school, get a job, go to school, get a job, right? But what I'm learning in school is not sufficient for me to get a job or to go, recreate my own means of income. what can I do at home? And I'm assuming, you know, I've got access to some form of a laptop or a tablet or a phone. What can I do to learn to then get into the tech space, or to at least expose myself to say what are the opportunities in the space?
Very good question. And it goes hand in hand with what he said about, I also hate the education system. It's bogus. And I studied medical science for 2 years in England. And then I came this side and I did my research internship. And I was doing my research, as I was doing my research internship, I was like, this is actually bogus, how we actually think. And actually how I started this desire to code was because I saw how they were portraying information for medical equipment was ridiculous. Like, how is that what you think how a robot should speak to a doctor? So it actually got me into the space. And when I looked at that space, I immediately started to teach myself how to code. Right? And there's so many platforms out there. There's edX. edX is amazing. edX, any young person. I got my little brother on edX, and I'm glad because I'm hoping that's why he chose computer science. I like to tell myself it's because I got my little brother to start coding at 10, and I will, when I have kids, I will get them to start coding at 10 years. And there's so much out there. You cannot sit and say I didn't have enough. And he's right. Even when we were hiring, we really looked for people who had skill rather than marks. Just show us you can do something and that something is well thought out. And mind you, even trying to find those people, there were people who were taking, right now the space for a developer is so great because they're sucking them up. It is so difficult to find a developer in South Africa. I'm sure everyone knows that. Like, to actually find a developer is so difficult. It's like everyone's out there auctioning. Like, we want to do it, and for a business owner it's very difficult, but for the developer it's amazing. And they are lapping you guys up. And they are lapping up someone who will go online and do a 1-year course at an edX or do a MicroMasters at an edX. Those are the kind of people they're lapping up if they have a great portfolio and they're building their track record. So I would say, first things first, educate yourself. If you're in grade 10, if you're in grade 11, whatever, you should be on an online course. The nice thing about edX is actually it's free. And you only get you get a non-certified certificate, but it allows you to create stuff. We're looking for stuff that's created. I've hired a developer who looked so good on the books, but because they had no portfolio, they were the most expensive hire. The amount of money we spent on educating them was far more than how much we spent on years and years. And also, mind you, someone who's got a good portfolio possibly doesn't have like business etiquette, or it is so much cheaper to teach someone how to reply formally to an email than to teach someone how to look at back end of an on-demand app. Because you said you could do it, but you actually can't. It's just on the book. Yeah. It's just a course. It was in the course. So and this is what I love about development. It is in the space. It is actually the underdog space, because someone who didn't have a Model C background can enter the space and can compete with Thomas, who went to Tux. And it is the most, to a certain degree, it is the most barrierless place because we're desperate. South Africa is desperate. And I would advise, if someone wants a good career, just step in, literally just a foot in, single course, and build your portfolio, and you are guaranteed a really, really good career.
Mixo, some advice as well from your side? What do I do to get in if I'm not exposed to this? What do I do at home? What am I reading?
I'm a big fan of my phone. Everything that I do is I get it from my phone. So it's just about changing your content on your phone. Yes, I'm not going to say stop doing social media, but there's different ways you can do social media. Follow the right people. So when I started, interesting enough, my internship was at the zoo for 6 months, was having access to a computer and internet. I made a list of at least 100 companies that I wanted to interact with, the people that I could connect with from those different companies, and followed all those different people. So when I came out of that space, as much as I was locked in a zoo, I knew more about what's going on in the tech space than a lot of people that were even in internships within those companies, because I was following literally every day what's going on. When I talk about Teto, I know what he does, I know what he's all about, I know which company he moved to. So when it comes to meeting them, it's an easier conversation. And a lot of people in the tech space, a lot of people, students, right, a lot of them, they don't know what's going on in the tech space. And people in the interview space are asking about that. You see, are you actually learning on your own? So I'd say take advantage of your social media, follow the people, follow the organizations. There's actually people that, funny enough, are turning your Twitter and your Facebook into forums. And someone is like, I'm struggling with this, and everybody just jumps in and helps that person out. So there's different ways you can actually do that. Social media for me is one of the big ones that you can use to connect. But also don't be, as much as you're a techie, you want to be a techie and you sit in front of a PC, that has to change. You need to be exposed to other people, you need to interact with other people. We've got lots of programs for high school kids that are happening, but we've also got things called hackathons. So our hackathons are open platforms where you will be amazed with what's going on. And what I like about a hackathon is it will actually help you make a decision whether you want to be in a tech space or not. In most cases, you actually want to continue being in a tech space because it's that exciting. So yeah, hackathons are some of the things you should at least take part in. Well, to others as well who are interested.
Okay, I think that concludes this discussion. Thank you so much. I'm not wearing a watch, so and I could go on and on for the whole day. But